He is so far the only person on a roster here who's been here 3 times, been here the most. And right now, he's probably my favorite because of that. You know what I'm saying? So I need for everybody else to step it up. I'm calling out everybody. Everybody on the roster, step up, okay? Y'all know where we're at. Y'all know how we do this. But he's here. We got Tadashii in the building once again.
Let's go.
T-Dot, how are you feeling, man?
Oh, man, I'm great. Thank you for having me.
I'm not going to lie to you. I'm really feeling the trench, actually. I feel like it's real simple. Great Converse. You know what I'm saying? It feels real. It feels real. Like you didn't put a lot of thought. Like you put thought, but you didn't put thought in it, and it all came together.
Exactly. I'm a fan of classy comfort.
Bro.
That's my phrase. When I think about decor, when I think about fashion, I'm like, for me personally, classy comfort.
No, I'm not gonna lie to you. If it's not comfortable, I'm not gonna wear it.
No, not at all.
I'm 100%.
Yeah, I heard somebody tell me one time, they were like, make sure you're wearing the clothes. Don't let the clothes wear you. As if to say like, hey, whatever you're putting on, it may look good, but if it's just draped on you, or if you're not feeling comfortable in it, it won't look as good as it could. So wear something that's comfortable, that you want to wear, because it'll look way better. Way better. So that's where the phrase for me came about, classy comfort. Like, I want it to look classy. I want to look like I put thought into it. Yeah. But I still want to be comfortable. You
don't want to be stiff. You know, you can see someone's kind of like, they hurting in them jeans.
You know what I'm saying? You know they hurting. It'd either be the jeans, it'd be the entire look, because each piece of it has to be the right way. Or for my sisters, it'd be the shoes. It'd be the shoes. I'd be like, man, I am so sorry.
Me ankles be buckling. You know what I'm saying? Quivering.
I am so sorry.
I've been in those places.
That pinky toe suffering. In that corner, it's just suffering.
In the corner, suffering. So how are you, man? How are you settling into the new year?
I'm doing great. Well, first and foremost, I'm doing better after your intro. All I heard was, Trip Lee, you need to be more like Tadashii. That's all I heard. I'm very happy about that.
Listen,
Trip has been. I've been a fan of Trip Lee since he was 18. And there are things that he does that I'm like, well, that's just God-given. That's not fair. It's not fair. And yet and still, you just communicated to the world, Trip needs to be more like me.
Indeed.
And I received that word. I pray he does as well.
Indeed. We
and that he
pray
would
that.
not be wayward in transgression.
Not at all.
Come on. So anyway, that's so random. I'm doing well. I'm settling into the new year nicely, I think, because what I've learned for the sake of rhythm, for the sake of mental health, for the sake of my own enjoyment, for the sake of achieving things, to start planning 3 months in advance for the new year. That's what grown folk do, and I didn't know that.
That's what grown folks do.
I didn't know. I was like, oh, we grown, so I got to start planning.
How has that helped you?
Amazing. It's been tremendous. One of the main things that I see from a personal standpoint is I don't wake up with this, how do I say it? The world loves to push the idea of a reset at the top of the year. And it's almost like you're under this pressure to take whatever you are, do a reset on it, and then somehow make it better. And I've kind of learned, no, this is a continuation as we progress and grow. 2 Peter says to grow every year in the grace and the knowledge of Jesus Christ. Like, well, to grow in the grace and the knowledge. And so in my mind, I go, every year I should be growing. I should be getting better. So I'm like, all right, well, if I'm growing, then that means it's a progression. It's not a, hey, 2024 is done. Whatever you were, cut that off, dead it, and then let's sprout something new.
That's good.
But if that's the thinking, then every year we don't grow. We just become something different. Yeah. And now we're at an infancy stage or square one again, and we got to get to wherever we're going to get. So every year the rhythm has been jump back to square one and start over and then try to do better than you did last year. And I'm like, actually, I'm not going to do that no more. I'm going to do a continuation model where I start planning 3 months in advance for the new year, and then see what that does to me. And it's been great. That's because there's a continuation of what's already been happening, and it's just growing.
You know, it's funny you say that, because I was thinking when the new year came, I said, this year don't feel so new. You know what I'm saying? I was thinking probably November, December of where I wanted to be. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like getting yourself in the mind frame, making habits changes then. Yeah. So that's why when the new year came, I was kind of like, this doesn't feel to feel any different.
No,
but like
real.
you kind of prepare yourself, because sometimes that hard start, that hard reset is hard for people.
Yeah. So the hard reset is hard for people, but then you have people like me who used to tell myself, unless I can do it all at once and do it right now, then I shouldn't do it. And it becomes an all or nothing mentality. So it's kind of like if you got credit card debt, it feels weird for some people to pay $10, $12, $20 a month. It's like, that's it? That's all I'm gonna pay?
Yeah. It
feels like a disservice to the overall amount. So in your mind, it's better to get the overall amount in its total, so you can then pay it, and you end up not paying anything, and then you put yourself further in a hole. So all of that to say, and I know I'm not the only one, so I'm being transparent, knowing that I'm in good company. You don't seem like that type of person.
Like what?
Like the person that waits and don't pay on anything on your credit card bill.
Oh no, man.
Yeah.
I try my best. I'm trying my best.
Me growing up and being in college especially, I had the opposite. And I was like, it's a $700 bill. I'll just wait till I get the $700. Hey, you're supposed to pay a little bit at a time. Yeah, but what that's gonna do? I got time. I got time is the most arrogant statement in life. Man, it is the most arrogant statement. Not only about a certain thing, but just life itself.
Man.
You don't know what tomorrow is.
Time is fleeting.
You don't know if tomorrow ain't promised. Why would you say an arrogant statement like, I got time? I'll do it tomorrow. Them the two most arrogant statements ever. So I go, you know what? I need to change things up going into 2025. I'm not going to try to take on the whole enchilada. That philosophy, what's the phrase? How do you eat an elephant?
One bite at a time.
One bite at a time. So I'm going to start now taking my bites and lean into 2025 that way. And it's been great. Like I feel like I'm ready for July in January.
I feel that.
I do.
I feel that.
I do. Almost to the point to where I'm like, why is it taking so long for July to get here?
January has been the longest January ever. January.
It's been so much January in January.
Bro.
I'm like, what is happening right now?
We're on January 73rd.
You know? I'm like, yo, this is crazy.
Yeah.
So that's been kind of the main thing for me. Like I realized everyone, this year, I wanted to do something different. My wife, her pops hit her up and was like, yo, I would love for you to come visit. So she went to see him.
Okay.
And I was home with my kids. And I was like, let's do something fun. Let's go somewhere for the new year. And I was going to take them like somewhere right outside the city, Great Wolf Lodge, something like that, something fun for them. And I was like, yeah, but we've been there, done that. They're going to treat it that way. Like, what can I do that's exciting for all of us? And I want to do something that was cool to me too, because a lot of times you do stuff for kids and then regret you did it because it's only fun to them, and you got to suffer through another episode of Paw Patrol. It's like, why did I agree to watch this?
Oh, Paw Patrol, you specific with that one.
I'm like, oh my Lord, please help me. Or Five Nights at Freddy's. I'm like, come on, man, chill. So let's do something fun for me too.
Yeah, right.
So we took a road trip to Washington, D.C.
Oh, whoa. How was that?
It was amazing to bring in the new year in Washington, D.C. We had everything. Beautiful weather. It ended up snowing right before we left. Like, it was horrible snow for them, but for tourists, it was great.
Yeah, right.
So got to see family and friends, got to visit museums because they're all free, look at all the monuments, got to help them experience a road trip like that. I'm a fan of being able to say I've done something. So they're like, yo, man, I can say I've been to South Carolina. I've been to North Carolina. I've been to Virginia. We went to Maryland. I got them crab cakes in Maryland. They could care less. I don't care. I did it. It was for me. They were
in
like,
Maryland, they didn't care about crab cakes?
They didn't care at all. They was like, what are we going to eat tonight? Hot dogs? Can we get hot dogs?
No.
I was like, no,
you're
we're getting crab
Maryland.
Cake.
What?
I said, we getting crab cakes. And they were just like, yeah, this is okay.
Oh, my God.
And I was off to the side. Like, part of me wanted to feel like I was being selfish, but I was off to the side like, you better put some ketchup on it. You better put some ketchup on that and eat it.
Put some ketchup on that crab.
Some cocktail sauce or something. I'm loving this.
Facts.
So we had a great time. It was great. But we were in the hotel. We counted in the new year, and then we went to sleep. But it was so much fun to do it that way. And as we rang in the new year, I had this thought. It was like, everyone always says Happy New Year, as if things are going to all of a sudden be new. And I realized the only way for things to be new is if I start doing new things. So it's not that the year changes, it's me.
Yeah.
It's the only way the year will feel new. And so this year felt new because in 2024, I started making plans to be new.
Yeah.
And then leaning into the newness. Otherwise, I'm going to have the same year as I did last year. Nothing will be new if it's not new habits.
What were some of those
changes.
plans that you wanted to be new, if you don't mind me asking?
No, that's a great question. A lot of it had to do with music, creativity as a whole, but music. I wanted to pursue newness in music, just even how I approach it. So I started writing on paper again instead of on my phone.
Why?
Because I wanted to do something different. And I've already done the whole like show up in the studio and come off the top of the head and just rap a whole verse. I've already done the like type on my phone and, you know, try to figure out what goes best here or there. And I'm like, nah, this time I'm just going to have a pad with me all the time.
Yeah. And
wherever I am, if I'm inspired, I'm going to start writing lyrics. Not songs, just lyrics. And then see where they fit. And then if I have a song concept, go at it that way. But I just wanted a different approach, a new approach. But not only that, physical health, mental health, pursuing those things as well. And so giving effort, giving what I call, like giving grand effort. That's my phrase. Giving grand effort toward achieving new tools, new habits in order to have better mental and physical health, better emotional health, grand effort. So moving forward in that has been really good as well. Really, the biggest thing for me that I can say is stay in the present. Stay in the present. So just for example, when this is done, I have another interview, I have a meeting, I have another meeting, I have to get my kid, I got to take them to get their haircut, I got to get him back for his basketball game, I have to do like 5 or 6 emails, I got to record a voiceover, I got to do all this stuff. It's easy for me to get distracted from what I'm doing with you. It's also easy for me to feel anxiety about those things. And if I feel anxiety about those things, it's easy for me to live in false scenarios about those things. Things that aren't even true or have not happened and probably won't happen in the exact way that I'm fearful of, but yet and still I'm consumed by it as I'm here with you. So stay in the present. Not just to honor what I'm doing, but stay in the present, because now my nervous system is in fight or flight. Cortisol levels rise. I'm stressed out now. I can't focus straight. It's hard to access coherent thoughts in the frontal lobe because I'm so stressed. Now I'm looking left and right, wondering what's going to go wrong.
Yeah.
And catastrophe is all on my mind instead of God's grace, his love, his goodness, the gift of being in the present right now. So I'm like, no, stay in the present. That's been my phrase. Stay in the present, stay in the present. You're on the couch. The couch is comfortable. You're safe. You're holding your, like I'll grab my hands like this, try to pull them apart. And I'm like, nope, you're safe. You're holding your own hand. You're here. And it shakes me loose from what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Enough to give effort to move forward towards something else.
Sheesh, man, that's so good. People I won't say people, me, underestimate little things to remind you to be present, like breathing.
Yeah.
Slow breathing. Understanding like, you're good. You know what I'm saying? Like you're good right where you're at. There's this song that I've been loving. I think his name is Charles Weems. I pray I'm not butchering it. But the song is called Slow Me Down. And I feel like in today's culture, we're always like, pray for the next thing, breakthrough, God, my next, this. And the song is so opposite, where it's like, slow me down so I don't take my eyes off everything that was around me. And I just been truly feeling that with me. You know what I'm saying? And that speaks to that as well, just being present. And man, that was so good. Grand effort. And okay, so I want to go ahead and dive in. I'm grateful for, but of course for you, but of course the intentionality, of course, in everything you do. And I'm really excited to just dive into what Stay Alive is. And I'm just really curious to how this came about, because the song is so packed. It's so vulnerable. And I'm just curious. So was this song sitting for a long time? Did it just come up to you? Did it just pop in your mind? Like, oh, I want to share this. You know what I'm saying? So I want you to just dive into that. Just what made you think that, okay, I want to create a record like Stay Alive?
Yeah. Thank you for asking. Two things. One, whatever is in your heart as a creative, just do it. Two, collaboration is where classics are made. Collaboration is where creativity shines.
I agree.
I quote Dr. Dre all the time, who says, classics are made in community. Like, you don't make a classic by yourself. It don't happen. And I was like, it's not a shot at you as an individual, but it's a formula for you to be able to recognize this is the cheat code. Like, get with another person. It's kind of almost biblical. Like, oh yeah, I'm going to work with another person. I'm not meant to do this alone. And it's going to be great. Stay Alive was a record that a friend of mine named Zach Paradise, he's a producer.
Zach, shout out Zach.
Shout out Zach. He's a producer, singer-songwriter, engineer. We've been working together a decade. And so having him in my corner has been a joy because he is equally passionate about creativity. And so when I communicate an idea, he's just like, yeah, man, I've been working on this, or I've been thinking this, or what if this could be? And that's kind of how that happened. And I feel like he already kind of had the chorus or the concept in his head, but when I shared what I wanted, he kind of brought it forward. And so him, myself, another dude, producer named Miguel, we all sat in my basement in my studio and started working on writing Stay Alive, just the chorus. And when we finished writing the chorus, I was kind of nervous from two vantage points. One, Stay Alive is, it's either a phrase that you've heard before, so been there, done that, or it's a phrase that isn't as catchy that the label might not be excited about. Gotcha. But from a personal and ministry and heart standpoint, it was the perfect phrase. So when we finished the chorus, he was like, you ready to write your verses? And I was like, yeah. I was like, but I'm gonna have to go there. Like, this is not the song to just kind of be like, hey, make sure you're being healthy. It's like, it's not that. I have to go there. And he was like, you should. And when he said you should, even though I had confidence to go there, it kind of gave me the permission. It gave me the ability to say someone else would want to hear this. So I went off in a room by myself. I started writing the verses, and I came back and I did the first verse, and then the second verse I did probably a week later.
Okay.
But when I finished the song, it was done, but it wasn't done. I knew I needed to go deeper in some regard. So I came back and I rewrote the second verse to include a glimpse into a moment of suicidal ideation for me. And then I included like the attempt itself. But I wanted to be as vocal and honest about it as I could, because I don't believe, how do I say this? I don't believe anything grows in darkness. I don't believe growth is possible in darkness. I believe you can maintain, but in darkness, your perception gets skewed and you think maintaining is growth. Almost to the point to where unhealth feels like normalcy. So when unhealth becomes normal, it feels like growth. It feels like this is okay. And unhealth becoming normal was kind of my norm. And so I had to bring it into the light. And I was like, you know what, God, if I bring this into the light in this song, I think healing's possible for me.
Yeah.
But maybe for other people. And so that's kind of where that happened.
Yeah. I feel as if this, well, I know for a fact this isn't your first time being as vulnerable. It makes me think of albums like Below Paradise.
Right.
And different things like that. Were there any similarities when you think back to creating Below Paradise and songs for that, and songs like Stay Alive, like when the creating process of the vulnerability? Can you like dive into that a little bit? Very
much so. Very similar. So career-wise, I am the friend who I am the local historian for my friend group. I don't know how to function without considering the entirety of the context of our relationship or the things going on in the world, all of that. So I'm that person. So for me, when I'd go through the timeline, I started doing music reluctantly. I didn't want to rap. I was ready to go be a football coach. Fast forward, I decided to do music with my friends, and eventually the elders, the leadership, my spiritual father, and even the spirit was like, this is something you should do. So I felt confident in going to do it. I just didn't know. I was like, I never thought this would be me. So by the time I did my second album, It was like, oh, I have a career. I could do this. Like, this is something real. So as I lean into doing Identity Crisis, which was my second album, and it comes out, I go to do Blacklight, and that album went number one. Yeah. It had all of this like Dum Dum, all these songs that people were like, yo, this is a great album. It's a classic album. It's my favorite album. Riot, all these things. The world falls apart for me when my son Chase passes. Everything since that moment has been influenced by him not being here. And not just him, but the loss of life in general. My stepmother passed from breast cancer. One of my sisters died from pneumonia, but she was a real bad diabetic, like juvenile. Since she was like 6 or something, and doing dialysis, she caught pneumonia, passed away. My other sister died from stomach cancer. I've had grandmother, cousins, and so for me, it felt like death followed me. I was like, oh, death is after me next. Not only that, death hates me, so it's just trying to hurt me more. So at one point I was like, I give in and I'm just ready to die too. And another point I was like, man, who cares if I die or live? All I care about is making sure everybody else is okay. So then it was like, how can I be here for everyone else? Then I got tired of that and I was like, man, I just want to enjoy life while I can. So let's just go have fun. And honestly, I have a song that's coming out soon, but a lyric in the song is, why when we're hurt, we all go astray. Like, it's almost like when I'm hurt, I want to go do the most non-safe thing, healthy thing, godly thing possible. And so I found myself spiraling in that regard. And I just wanted to be as real as I could be about that. So I rewrote the second verse and brought it to the forefront. Now, the timeline-wise, Stay Alive and the songs that are to come are a continuation of my journey since experiencing the loss of my stepmom, my sisters, and my son. And what life has kind of given me in the midst of that.
Yeah.
Stay Alive was very reminiscent of writing from Below Paradise, but at the same time, what was at the forefront was this is a continuation. If I'd have wrote this song for Below Paradise, I'd have probably been like, kill me now. I don't want to be here. Versus Stay Alive. It's one more fight.
I got
just
that.
One more day, man. One more day. So yeah.
I get that. A continuation, thinking about what Below Paradise was or what it is, and then now thinking of Stay Alive, I see the continuation now that you say that. Mm-hmm. Now, being a man of faith, and I think this is a constant back and forth that we just have as believers.
Yeah.
Also being someone who's dealt with, who has mental health battles, who's had suicidal ideation. I just feel as if there's always this, of course, as believers, the wrestle of course, according to my emotions, my mental health, and then of course, faith.
Yeah.
So what was it like for you, or is for you, wrestling with that when it comes to mental health battles and struggles and then faith?
Yeah. January is awareness month for a lot of things. But one of the things is mental wellness, which is a distinct pursuit in relation to mental illness or mental health in general. So mental wellness January was dubbed Mental Wellness Month because coming out of the holiday, a lot of people feel like they were on the high of the holiday into the slump of the new year. And what am I going to be? What am I going to do? Or they feel pressured to do something and be something because it's a new year. And it's like, what am I doing? And so the stress of that can be heavy, especially, honestly, for young people who are high school, college age, who are having to go back to the grind in their own regard. You grown, you got a career or a job. It didn't stop for you. Sure, you might have got a day or two off for Christmas, or you might have took some vacation time. But it ain't the same as like a student who's like, man, I just had like a break and it was fun and gifts. And I'm in that in-between place of being an adult and being a kid. And this is great. And now, woe is me. I got to go back to the grind and go back to class or go back to work or go back to dealing with life, go back to homework and go back to all this stuff. And mental wellness became a concern for that age group because the summer months, June and July, are the months with the highest suicide rate.
Oh, wow.
But January is the third, and January statistically is where the ideations start, and people build the courage up over the next 4 or 5 months to then follow through in the summer. So January became a real concern of, am I gonna care about myself enough to make it through the rest of this year? So when I did this song, the desire was to put it out during this month because I wanted to encourage people, like, keep fighting. Like, make it another day. Like, I'm not trying to tell you, it's scary when you don't think life is worth living to tell somebody, hey, it's January, just make it to February. Like, no, it's Monday, just make it to Tuesday. Get to Monday night and let's talk. Like, that's where I was in my own journey. That's where I was with caring for people. So dealing with this song in the way that we did, I wanted to make sure it came out in January. I wanted to make sure that it was talking about things it was talking about. And for me, I actually text like 12 friends. Hey, I'm about to release this song. Can you pray for me? Can you pray for the song? Can you pray for me? Because I know what I'm doing being vulnerable. And this is the reality that we live with as artists, not just creatives, but artists who put our art into the world. It's very, very likely that I'm gonna release a song like Stay Alive, dealing with my own journey of mental illness, suicidal ideation, suicide attempts, and the desire to not live, and have someone go, it's trash.
Yeah.
And to have someone be like, man, you suck. Man, you need to do more music like, I miss you when you were like this. Man, I miss the old T-Dot when he did, man, why don't you do another song like Dum Dum? Why don't you do? And I was just like, I know this is gonna happen.
Yeah.
Those people exist. So let me text my friends now and ask for prayer. That's that whole not waiting for it to get here, but starting early and preemptively moving into it. So I did that. Prayers were grateful, and these friends are real ones. So they text me the day of, you good? It texts me like yesterday, hey, it's been a week, you good? Yeah. Like real friends. And so in light of that, I was bracing myself for some stuff. And honestly, it wasn't a lot of it. I wasn't shocked, but I was shocked. And really the majority of the comments have been, me too. Oh, me too. Oh, that was me. Oh man, this helps me. You know what? Maybe I can make it to tomorrow. And I was like, really? I was waiting for ridicule, shame, or some sort of comment about how it just don't sound good musically. And that has not been the case over by and large. It's been, I resonate with what you're telling me. I'm glad I'm not the only one. Blew my mind. So I'm grateful to be open about it because I'm recognizing the benefit far outweighs the cost of the risk. I don't mind sharing it I'm sharing from a place of being on the journey, not a place of fixed it, all better. And because that's the reality, when I do wrestle with those things, I don't have to feel the shame and the weight of, but you told everybody you were great. I get to be real and a real person. So I battle with it coming from that kind of healthy mentality.
Yeah, I think for me, I think the biggest thing that people always need to know is just that I think when I was going through my suicidal ideation, the biggest thing, the reason to why you keep it to yourself, or I keep it to myself, because you think no one's going to understand. Mm-hmm. And you think that you're the only one going through this. Mm-hmm. And that's why I love being in this genre so much, is because there's music like Stay Alive and things like that. Was hearing someone else openly speak and say, me too, mm-hmm. It gives you just okay, I'm not alone in this. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it's like that community, like, but that's not as close, but the vulnerability, like you said, that you speak on, mm-hmm. is so necessary. Yeah. And people just have no idea of how that can set people free. Yeah. In a sense. This is so random. Shout out to everybody still watching and listening. I just randomly was like, man, I'm about to go on this random tangent for an example. And that's crazy. People are about to go on this tangent with me. Thank y'all for hanging in. Yeah. So anyway, hey, he's back. I was waiting. Oh my goodness.
How we doing, everybody? What's going on, y'all?
You know, people have officially called you Crash Out Cray.
Crash Out Cray.
Officially.
It's beautiful. It's a great name.
You're a part of the culture now.
I'm early.
Early. You early today.
And for once, you're sitting down and you're in the shot. Because that last time you was giving Wizard Kelly.
Yeah.
From
It's
Proud
true.
Family.
From
So
Proud
you
Family.
grown. It's a new year. It's a new Cray. And we happy about it. We're not just seeing from the top lip down. We're seeing in the full mix.
In the full mix.
Thoughts on Stay Alive with T Dot.
Stay Alive is Sam Rivera's best work.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for Tadashii pulling Sam Rivera in, Sam would not have done his best work. So Sam owes Tadashii a debt. And I just want the world to know that. It's a great song. And I think the social media posts were very emotional. The song is better than the social media posts in my opinion. So that's my opinion. You try to make people cry with the post, and I thought I don't know, I didn't like that. The song was good, but I didn't like did you see the post?
Cray.
It was a little sad. I was a little sad. I was like, golly. I'm sorry.
You got a lot going on if you be wearing the pants you wearing right now, man.
I think them pants cold. I ain't gonna lie. Them they tough.
They just missed Crash Out Cray. Shout out to the comments because that's where I saw, okay, now this has officially become the culture of the show. We got T Dot here talking about mental health.
With Meah Evans.
Is that my theme song?
Evans.
That's the jingle? That's what we rocking with. Shout out to Ace, man. We miss you, Ace.
Yeah, bro.
Hoping to get you back here too, man.
For sure.
I want to talk about this. I feel as if, okay, correct me if I'm wrong, and I don't want to sound insensitive when I say this, but
you're right. I don't like pizza.
Pizza?
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Now we get into a whole
I
nother
thought that's
can
not
of
where you were
worms.
going?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
You don't like pizza, Tadashi?
No.
What's wrong with it?
It's nasty.
What about it is
It's
nasty?
so overrated. So pizza is the only food in America that can get away with being horrible or great, and people still allow it.
What is horrible about it?
No, I mean quality-wise. There's levels to quality.
So you just
pizza.
haven't had good pizza?
No, I have. I've had great pizza from all over. So my issue is one. This is my own personal quirk.
Okay.
I don't like bread. So I'm not a fan of
really?
bread. I don't do bread. I don't even. Like,
you don't like it, or you just don't?
No, I don't like it.
Okay.
It's in the way in my mind. I don't enjoy
the
bread.
way?
Like once I learned that I could just take lettuce and wrap it around my sandwich, I don't eat bread no more. Like at Jimmy John's, they make a thing called an unwich, and it's just lettuce
I've seen
wrap.
those.
That's my thing. I don't like bread. I don't like red sauce. Red sauce is not tasty to me.
Red sauce? Like
pizza.
marinara. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. And then ultimately,
you like tomatoes?
They're okay. Cherry tomatoes go well in a salad.
Okay.
But tomatoes as a whole, no, I'm straight.
Okay.
But when you combine all of that together, the bread is the worst part to me. I just want to eat the toppings. So I literally will just scrape the cheese and the meat off with the veggies and eat that.
You are a rare breed.
Yeah, I don't do. Triple E makes fun of me all the time. Actually, I honestly felt vindicated. I text Trip the other night. I was watching The Equalizer with Denzel, and in every movie, his character ate soup as a meal. And I told Trip Lee that's one of my favorite meals.
Now people sleep on soup.
They sleep. Come on, thank you.
No. I had some soup the other day, chicken noodle. Actually,
Trip be like, man, I'm so happy you enjoyed that hot beverage in a bowl. I'm like, you a jerk, bro. This is such a loser. Like I love, literally, ask anybody.
Favorite soup.
Currently, tomato bisque. I mean, I said not tomato bisque. We said tomato, and it's a bisque. Sorry, crab bisque.
Crab bisque.
Not lobster bisque, crab bisque. Yeah.
So, you know what goes great with that?
Bread?
A grilled cheese.
No, I'm good. Now,
Tadashi.
what I will do for me, because I do agree with you.
Okay.
What I will do is I will take Parmesan, croutons broken up.
Okay.
And I will toast those together with olive oil, and then I'll put rosemary on them, toast them some more, and then I'll sprinkle a little bit in the bowl.
Oh, so you like crunchy bread?
For garnish. No, just for garnish.
Okay.
It don't have to be crunchy. I just need the garnish of it for the flavor. Then I'm good.
So
it's not the bread.
You'll take that much.
Yeah,
that
just
much
a little
bread.
bit. Because the bread itself will hold the oil and the rosemary.
It will, yeah.
Rosemary and oil by itself in the soup won't be good. It needs that thing to bring it together to hold it. But I don't eat pizza. I don't eat tuna fish. I don't eat peanut butter. Peanut butter is disgusting.
I'm not a big peanut
I'm not
butter
a
fan.
no. Sorry, the phrase nut butters is dumb to me. It's a really bad word. It's almost as bad as saying moist, so I don't like doing it. Like, I'm good. But I don't like any of the nut butters. I'm like peanut butter, cashew, like almond.
Nutella?
No.
Dang.
God, no.
Thought I had you with that one.
And that to me is like a chemistry experiment. I'm good.
I can't. You like, but hazelnuts?
I'm good. It just no.
Almonds?
No, thank you. I will eat raw almonds.
Oh, almonds. Okay,
Love-
raw,
love 'em,
but
love
not
'em.
almond butter.
No, and then I'm not a fan of. I don't do dairy. I hate milk. Milk is one
No,
of the
but
grossest
that's
things.
not. That's good. It's actually not bad for you to not have any
Right.
dairy in your diet.
I'm not a fan of milk at all. I'm actually really shocked when I'm out in Atlanta with Atlanta has a large black population, and I be seeing black people at restaurants for breakfast with milk as they drink, and I'd be like,
Whoa.
what is happening right now?
How old are these
Where am
adults?
I don't do mayonnaise. I think mayonnaise is disgusting. And I know there are a lot of people, especially on the East Coast, that eat hoagies with mayo, and I'm just like, gross. It's nasty. So nah. If I get a sandwich, it's gonna be olive oil, vinegar, or
Onion witch.
an unwich.
Unwitch.
UN witch, because there's no bread. It's fire. And Jimmy John's makes it with the olive oil and the balsamic vinaigrette. Like, it's amazing.
So burgers, just the lettuce?
I'm not really a burger fan. I will eat a burger from time to time. My wife likes burgers. I'm not a fan of burgers. I don't really go for them.
Hot dogs. You just eat the dog?
Yeah. Once I knew I don't have to have the bread. Growing up as a kid, you just eat what you're given. Now I'm like, I'm good. I don't need that. So I cut up the hot dog and dip it in mustard. Now, the one thing I will eat for bread, the one thing I will do, there are two things. I don't like breakfast breads either. Like, I don't like pancakes. I don't like waffles.
You don't rock with French toast?
No, I'm cool. Now, I will say,
Tadashii.
my dude in Chicago, he's in Lincoln Park. He's got a spot called Batters and Berries. He makes the best French toast I've ever had.
Batters and berries.
Batters and Berries in Lincoln Park. But it's a dessert. At the end of the day, he's making dessert. But I don't get the concept of taking something that isn't good, slathering it with syrup, and most of the time it's cheap syrup, and then you call that good. I'm like, I'm okay. I'd rather just have meat, like the sausage and eggs and some fruit. I'm good. I don't do bread. Bread is so overrated to me.
I'm not even going to hold you. I forgot what I was going to ask. I'm not thinking about
I'm so
that.
sorry.
No.
I thought you was going there.
No, that's
Like-
just, I've never met nobody like that, T-Dog.
Ask anybody in the world, when we go to restaurant trip, they make fun of me now, because the two things I'm going to do is I'm going to, listen, let me tell y'all what y'all do. You go to a restaurant, no matter what restaurant it is, and you tell them you want a sample of something that you want to try.
Oh.
Restaurants still give samples. So every time I go to a restaurant, I'm like, hey, I see you have 2 soups. Can I get a sample of each? And they're like, yeah, I got you. And they'll bring the sample out. You try the sample, see which one you like.
But that's different because I can't ask for a sample of steak.
No, they're not going to do, not an entree. Not an entree.
Oh, appetizer.
Appetizer,
Okay.
super salad,
Got
side
you.
dish.
Got you.
They'll do that, but not an entree. But like, can I get a sample of soup? Like, this is my thing. I go to a restaurant, can I get a sample of soup? And then Trip and Cray make fun of me because they like, at some point, Tadashi's going to have a conference with the waiter. Excuse me, can we talk? So can I get a little, and Biz knows too, but like, it's going to be a thing for me. But I love soup with all my heart. Like right now, I love cooking. So like the way you love fashion and how you said off camera, like picking your clothes is fun.
Yeah.
That's not fun to me. Cooking is fun to me.
Cooking is fun.
Like,
Got you.
Like getting the right, and I do everything by eye. Like I'm eyeballing everything.
Yeah.
So getting the right amount and figuring out the formula for the right amount of sherry, the right amount of cream, the right amount of everything for a good crab bisque. Oh my Lord. Amazing. Beyond that though, my favorite soup of all time is chicken noodle soup.
Chicken noodle.
I grew up on it. My mom made it as a meal. So it was a meal.
Yeah, made it?
Yeah, my soup is from scratch.
Oh,
like
fire.
I don't fool with not. Like at one point, like during the pandemic, I made homemade chicken noodle soup, and I even made my own egg noodles.
Sheesh,
like from
bro.
scratch.
How long did that take?
It took me like at least 8 hours to do the noodles.
Oh,
because I
8?
suck. I don't know what I'm doing, but I had to figure it out. But once I got the noodles done, then everything else is easy. And like I don't use chicken broth. I make my own stock. I do everything myself.
Oh, and that takes time.
Yeah. My stock cooks 12 hours.
Yeah,
I got a giant stock pot, and I put everything in there I need, and I let it cook on low, medium low, and take 12 hours. But when it's done, it'll cure the common cold. It'll bring joy to your soul.
Joy to chicken noodle soup is
Joy
for
to
the
your soul.
soul.
And I don't fool with, I only use chicken thighs. I'm not using chicken breasts. It dries out too soon. It's not the same. I'm not doing it. Chicken thighs, and then to start my stock, I buy chicken wings, and then I slice all of them down the middle, and then I put a little bit of avocado oil, and then I just let those cook on medium at the bottom of the pan for at least 30 minutes.
If you had a cooking show, I would watch.
I would love that. I love cooking. And then once I'm done like cooking the wings down in that, then I add a little bit of water. And I let that simmer. And then once that gets to a point, then I add in my seasonings minus the salt. You know, you don't salt till you put it in your bowl. You can always add salt. You can't take it away.
See, I was gonna say recipe book, but I gotta see you in action.
Oh, I got you.
And also because you say you eyeball, you go according to feeling, and like my I got family members who are the same way.
Yeah. No, it's great. It's great. Like my kids don't like soup, but they'll eat my chicken noodle soup. So anyway, what was your question you had? I know you had it.
It's gonna come back to me. Okay, I think it's coming back to me. We're talking mental health. We're talking about mental health. But food is good for the soul too. Amen. That'd be good for your mental health. Amen. What I was gonna say was that I feel like over time, the mental health conversation, I feel like we weren't always so comfortable talking about mental health. No, right? Okay. Because I was thinking that, and I was like, I didn't want to sound insensitive saying that we weren't always talking about mental health, but it just feels like, I think what it is that we're more and more comfortable.
Sure.
And where we have more people who are willing to share expertise, and then also, I guess, their own experiences when it comes to mental health. What would you say? Do you feel like there are any notions or ideas of mental health that are, what's the word?
Still taboo or off topic?
That are misunderstood.
Oh, misunderstood. Yes, definitely. Okay, great question. One, I feel like, are we in trouble? Because Elsa's here now. She's staring at us.
Shout out to Elsa, new producer on 116 Life.
Oh, okay. I felt like we were in trouble. Like, hello, time. I'm like, oh my God. All right. So, Elsa, you don't like being on camera? Okay, cool. She is silent. All her answers are body language.
Shout out Elsa, yo.
So, she's like this. I don't want them to know I exist.
Yeah.
I work for the CIA. So, I think more so than people are comfortable talking about it, I think people have become aware they're not the only one, so they're willing to risk bringing it up because they're possibly going to be in good company, more so than they're just comfortable. And on top of that, normalizing the conversation has been more of an intentionality, so people have found themselves opening up more. I think that is the case more so. Even with that, your question to me is a great one, because I can only speak from a male perspective, but I would love to hear your perspective on this.
Okay.
Most men I know, most men I've ever engaged, from the time I was in college playing sports to the time I was on staff at a church doing college ministry to now, men typically don't move if they feel unsure of what they're supposed to do, unless they are just personality-wise driven to be achiever types that are going to just go catalyze and get it done on their own. They kind of want to know what they're supposed to be doing first. Wait, how am I supposed to do that? And it's either they're concerned about the beginning process of getting the rules right, or they're concerned about the final product and they don't want to waste their time on something that didn't turn out right. So they tend to not do it. In addition to that, there's the stigma of, well, to admit these things is to admit weakness, and we can't appear weak or we can't appear too emotional out here. So that's what I know most men have struggled with around this. So therefore, because of that struggle, there has been a lack of understanding, insight, and pursuit of information to gain the right amount of perspective and understanding. And now misconceptions occur. Yeah. But is that true in your experience as a woman or with women?
When it comes to
engaging the topic of mental illness, mental health, and misconceptions and why they might exist? Yeah,
I would say so.
Okay. I was wondering if that was a human thing or a man thing or what?
No. I think I think as a woman, I would agree to that. I
Okay.
heard my brother-in-law say something that I always remember, where he was like, men feel love with respect and women feel love with security. And I felt that just because I think for me personally, I crave being around people in spaces where I feel safe.
Yeah.
Not physically, but emotionally, mentally, different things like that. So when it comes to areas of mental health, sometimes you will share or won't share based on how secure you feel.
So can I speak to that?
Yeah.
To move it from a more non-general place, from a male perspective, respect, yes, but to whittle it down more so that it's not so broad. And because I think if you leave it broad, it could feel callous or almost dismissive. I fear that I will lose something if I open myself up. I will lose respect. I will lose the opportunity for growth in someone else's eyes than their opinion of me. I'll lose a level of validation that I assume I already have gotten by being here the way that I am. So I'm risking the loss of something more than I am just respect itself. There are losses across the board. And in dominant male culture, the idea of being seen as someone losing, living with loss, or being a loser is crippling. So I don't even want to put myself in that position. But what would be the equivalent? Like, would you agree with that?
I would agree.
Okay.
I would agree.
Yeah. So I don't have any problem anymore being open and vulnerable because I recognize how much I was losing, keeping my mouth shut. I posted the other day, solitude is a sanctuary, isolation is a prison. Solitude is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
To know how to be with oneself. Isolation is done more so out of a trauma or out of a fear because you're afraid of what's going to happen with people, or you're afraid of what you're going to do if you're with certain people. So you kind of stay to yourself. And I found myself in isolation a lot. And I considered isolation to be a place of safety until I realized it wasn't, because it wasn't the same as solitude. Isolating myself, everyone else is pushed away. I'm on an island unto myself. And I tell everybody, as a Polynesian man who has spent time on many islands, an island is a paradise until it becomes a trap. It is a beautiful place to visit until you realize you don't know how to fly a plane, you don't own a boat, let alone know how to move one, you don't know how to swim that far, you can't surf like that, and pretty soon you're stuck unless someone else can get you off. And it's true with mental health. You become an island unto yourself on your own island, and it becomes and you think you're on paradise because you're like, man, I'm keeping all the bad away. And it's like, really, you're just kind of trapped now, and no one's able to get to you, and you're in order to protect your quote unquote safety, you keep pushing people away. But if we're not made to be alone, if we were designed to connect with other people, you're lacking something that you're unaware of. And in isolation, our perspective becomes skewed. So for me, misconceptions come out of that.
Yeah.
The misconception of fear of loss, isolation, the trauma behind it. We then start to have misconceptions around certain things. Like the biggest thing for me, when I went to my psychiatrist, even saying that out loud for some men is a struggle. And even as I say it, I know that there will probably be judgmental moments for people. What do you mean, psychiatrist? What? But as I went to my psychiatrist, and she was willing to communicate as one who loves God, and she's like, hey, I'm going to tell you now my assessment, but just know this is what you deal with. This isn't who you are. A lot of us deal with mental health issues as if that's who we are now. And it's not. It's an issue of health.
Yeah.
It's not a characteristic of your personality. This isn't you from your DNA. This is you for what you've been having to engage and deal with in the world, or what you might have received on a cellular level that could change. But one of the main things was OCD tendencies. And I was like, okay. And so we think of OCD as like, man, that person counts their breath, or they count their steps, or they're OCD, so they got to turn a certain way. But it's way more than that. And for a person who deals with OCD, full on OCD, it minimizes their struggle to only say they must just count their breaths. They must just count the bites they took, the chews they had. Yes, that's a part of it. But more so, have you ever seen the TV show Monk? Have you ever heard of the show?
Yes, yeah.
Some people haven't. But this was a guy who went through the trauma of losing his wife and as a result developed OCD.
Yeah.
And his showed up he had other issues too, but he had to touch everything a certain number of times. He had to enter a room a certain way. He had to move a certain way. He was a clean, neat germ freak, germaphobe, couldn't touch certain. Those things are true, sure. But those are the popular, accepted in society traits that we kind of started to focus on more. But real OCD tendencies, like I'm on the OCD side where there is OCD people struggle with harming themselves or others. OCD people struggle with dealing with societal norms and deal with control. And so it's not a matter of just illness alone. It's a matter of feeling unsafe in the world and needing to get control. So the compulsive behaviors give you control. And it's not control in a way of, I want to make sure everybody's doing my bidding. It's control because you are afraid if you don't get this control, harm will come to you. So harming myself was a way to try to get control. Cutting, suicide attempts, overeating, lack of mobility and movement, thought pattern in life, all those things are results of I'm going to harm myself to get control. But there are other people, they harm other people to get control. And in that moment, you can't excuse it, but it's such a nuanced issue that's heavy that we'd rather just deal with the lightheartedness of, I had to touch this couch 3 times and now I'm done. And it's like, that's true, but it feeds into the misconception of obsessive compulsive disorder. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Is there any final things, any final thoughts?
That's it? I don't get no more time with you?
What do you mean?
I don't get 7 hours?
T-Dot,
I'm just playing. Shit, we've been here too long.
What are there any, thinking of Staying Alive, the message, and just what your heart to people's ears, any final words you want to leave?
Yes. Man. One, shout out to Zach Paradise. Shout out to my boy Miguel. Shout out to Sam Rivera. Sam, you're a phenomenal artist. Forget what Lecrae said. He was crashing out. If I could say anything to anyone, there's 2 things. One, from a mental illness perspective, you are okay to be where you are. It is okay to not be okay. That's fine. The pressure from society to deal with being like everybody else when you're not is not your pressure to carry. That's not your shame to have. It's okay to not be okay. That's fine. Once you can admit that things are not okay, I think then you can open the door toward healing. But living with the pressure of never being able to freely say I'm not okay, you never get to move toward healing. Yeah. You could just live perpetually in a false narrative. And then the second thing, because the song was released in Mental Wellness Month, so I do want to focus on the wellness part for people who are like, well, man, I am dealing with stuff. What do I do? Movement and mindset. Those are the 2 things for me. I said, I think last time I was here, but movement is health. It is. If you're not moving, mentally, physically, emotionally moving, spiritually moving, then you become stagnant and therefore unhealth follows. Things that lie dormant end up becoming unhealthy. They fester, they garner bacteria, unhealth, disease, sickness. In some way, you gotta move. Secondly, mindset. You gotta have the right mindset. Working on the right mindset is all about the narrative you tell yourself. All of us tell ourselves a story every day. Every day we tell ourselves a story. And honestly, we have different stories depending on the categories of life. There's a story about your parents. that you tell yourself. There's a story about your friends. There's a story about your look, about your physical appearance. There's a story about your worth. There's a story about your job. There's a story about friends. There's a story every day about something. The narrative you tell yourself matters. So tell yourself the right narrative. Now, how do you learn to tell yourself the right narrative? You have to stay in the present, and you have to connect with other people to gain insight in things that you can't see yourself. So for instance, I've been pursuing my physical health and wanting to work on longevity. Not just, oh, you want to be skinny. Like, who cares about skinny? I care about being healthy. And in being healthy, one of the things that I realized was I don't really know all that I need to know to get healthy for who I am. Yeah, there's a generalized idea of how to be healthy in America, but that's more of a corporate industry standard. What's true for what you need as an individual? So I met with a nutritionist and I met with certain people and I learned what was healthy for me. Yeah. And I learned ultimately working out began to be better for me to help my mental health than physical health. Physical health is now a byproduct of working out. It's really for my mental health. But movement and mindset. Do the mindset work. Read the books. Please, Kurt Thompson is a great doctor, Christian man. Read his books. He has a book called The Soul of Shame. Please read The Soul of Shame. If you're a nerd like me, there's a book called The Body Keeps the Score. It is a textbook that they use, master level classes for people getting master's degrees in anything dealing with mental health, psychology, sociology even. Read that book. And then there's another book called What Happened to You by Oprah Winfrey and Dr. Bruce Perry. That is phenomenal. What Happened to You changed my life. It saved my life. I don't know if I'll ever meet Oprah, but if I do, it won't be to get a car. It'll be to give her a hug, to tell her thank you for writing that book. A lot of us, we grew up hearing, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Why do you act like that? What's wrong with you? And it automatically puts on us a pressure and a label that isn't fair or true. Instead of asking the question, what happened to you? You're acting that way for a reason. What happened to you? Those 3 books are life-changing, and that helps with mindset. And then movement, honestly, just do something that's fun to you. Think about what's fun. I told my sister, I was like, look, movement is key. Just go walk a half a mile. Even if it's in the grocery store shopping, go walk a half a mile. The best thing that I did for myself, I got in my car, I drove down the street. When the odometer said 0.5, I turned around and went back, and that equaled a mile. And now I know from my doorstep or driveway to that point and back home is a mile. So I started doing that. And I wasn't on a track. Trying to walk on a track for 4 laps sucks. Trying to get on a treadmill for 40 minutes sucks. I'm just going to walk the distance that my car went and back home. And it was so easy for me mentally to deal with. And then pretty soon I realized physically I can do this, but mentally I don't want to. Yeah. So I got to do the mindset work. And that's what changed. So ultimately, that's what I would leave with people, man. Fight for, it's okay to deal with illness. And it's great to focus on wellness.
Practicality, authenticity, all of that, and what you said.
Amen.
And thank you so much for sharing that. I've heard so many responses, and I feel like yours is the most practical, honest, and genuine. And just thank you for all that you do, bro. And thank you for everyone who's tuning in. I pray that this was able to speak to you, even as it spoke to me too. Just simple reminders that people just need to hear every day. If you could grow in your mindset and if you could move your body, those are the things that you will always need to be able to maintain that mental health. You're always going to need to keep going. Thank you guys.